Welcome to this edition of Labor Vision. I'm Bob Delaney, Executive Director of the Institute for Labor Studies and Research. Labor Vision, a production of the Institute, focuses on topics of importance to working Rhode Island families. We hope you enjoy this evening's edition.
Hi, I'm Tom Carr. I'm your host for Labor Vision this week. And this week I've got from the International Union of Painters and Allied Tradesmen, Justin Kelley, and from Fuerza Laboral, Raul Figueroa. And I've got to say, these two guys are probably two of the most energetic guys in the labor movement. I think it's safe to say both you guys are very active with the chapter of Rhode Island Job with Justice as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I actually sit on the board, and Raul does as well with Rhode Island Jobs of Justice, and that's our pleasure.
Outside your regular duties of representing your own members, you and Raul have taken on sort of a larger project at the grassroots level. Can you give us an overview of what you're trying to do right now with this project?
Yeah, sure, Tom. So I'm a representative for the union, but out of necessity, desire, and really because it's the best thing to do. I'm also an organizer. I spend my time, probably the majority of my time, trying to organize unorganized workers in the industry. And my union, under the leadership of our international president, Ken Rigmaiden, and our general vice president, director of organizing, Jimmy Williams Jr., has taken a very progressive bent in terms of the ideas that they put forward, whether that's understanding the immigration system and defending things like TPS and DACA, or just making the commitment to organizing workers regardless of the documentation status. In that process, we've partnered up with our good friends at Fuerza Laboral, where we've had a relationship for a while, but Raul and I have what we think is a pretty dynamic project going on, and I'll let Raul kind of fill in a little bit of the details there.
I think we complement each other pretty well, I gotta say. You know, and it's as a community organizer, you can't always expect people to come to you. You got to go looking for them, right? So that's what we're trying to do every week. We go visit this work sites. We had the opportunity to talk to the workers, to hear firsthand from their experience there at the job site. And we know that there have limits of how much they can say because they don't know who can be listening. So at least we have the initial conversation, and then we have the opportunity to do a follow-ups later on that day or later in the week, and hopefully start a relationship, a trust relationship between them and us.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so basically the people you're talking to, they're not union members, they have no protections in the workplace, and they're subject to things like wage theft and misclassification. So those are the people that you're basically talking to.
Yeah, unfortunately right now in the industry here, even in areas like New England where we have a decent amount of market share and there's a strong union presence, things like wage theft, employee misclassification, where workers given a 1099 at the end of the week, but it's treated like an employee in all intents and purposes. These things are rampant in the industry, and they suppress the wages and benefits of the industry. They create poor working conditions. They don't give people the chance to work safely, and they don't have recourse around regressive grievances. Because the reality is that without being organized on the job, especially in construction, you're going to be preyed upon. And it really doesn't matter, you know, if you're native born, if you're an immigrant, if you're documented, undocumented, a person of color, a white guy, man or woman, but contractors will play upon the idea, the more vulnerable you are, the more they're going to try to take advantage of you. And so we see that a lot of times it's immigrant workers, undocumented workers who are the most exploited, and really the ones that we need to reach out to and join together and to form union.
And some of these workers actually coming from out of state in some cases, and it's unfortunate because at that point you have to really educate them because they don't know that this is happening and this is not the way it works. So our idea is to talk, you know, to try to help them understand and tell them there is a better way, right? So join the union. Try to look for an opportunity to join the union. This is workers who have tremendous amount of experience, in some cases even decades of experience, and those kind of workers are very valuable. It would be very valuable for the painters union. So we're trying to encourage them to look for a better way. Start thinking about not just for them but their families, and start looking for opportunity to get benefits, opportunity to get health insurance. So those are some of the topics that we usually touch on when we talk to them.
All right, so that actually led right into my next question, was about you guys being in the workplace and educating them. So what kinds of responses are you getting when you're in the workplace and you're talking to them? Are they generally receptive to the education concept of what you're telling them, or are they receptive to organization, or how is that aspect of it going for you guys?
It's hit or miss, and it depends on the individuals, what's going on, One thing that I say a lot is, look, and it's happening right now in Providence. There's cases of wage theft where people are misclassified on prominent sites right in Providence that are getting massive amounts of tax breaks. And I tell these folks that, look, you're working here for maybe $20 an hour. Down the street, my guys are doing the same exact work as you for over $50 an hour. So I think that's it's an unarguable point, but I think Raul gets a different reaction based off of the demographics of some of the people we talk to versus myself when I'm alone. But what do you think, brother?
That's right, and I got to point out the difference between an organized job site and compared to an organized job site. And you see a mess. It's just like just walking in there, you can feel unsafe just being there, walking there. There's a lot of water everywhere. There's like light cables, wires everywhere, but we have to be careful too when we approach a worker, right? We don't want to scare them too much. We're trying to not just to create a relationship, just to start a conversation, and to hopefully that lead us to something else. But usually the first reaction we get is surprise. Surprise in many cases that someone is actually taking the opportunity, time in the day to go talk to them, to go see what the working conditions are like. And the second thing, it's I know these things are happening, but I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to about. And now at least, I have you to talk to, and now I can talk to my other coworkers, and trying to change something, trying to do something about it.
Yeah.
So there are some people who are opening up and letting you know what's going on, or you are like the cracks are starting to open up a little bit. You're hearing a few things from some people, and
absolutely,
the stories are getting out. And
absolutely, when I was a kid, I had a friend that told me, look, union organizing is not instant coffee. It's not a quick thing. You don't go in there guns blazing and next day you get a union contract, or you're glamorously on strike, or some miraculous occurrence. Change, union organizing, community organizing, it happens over time. It happens through small steps with people. And sometimes it takes years before a worker comes around and wants to redress the grievances that they have, or become a part of the union. But it's the dedication and having good people and good brothers and partners like Raul and the folks at Fuerza, Laboral, to be able to say, we're in this for the long term. We're in this for the long haul. And I'd say to anybody out there watching and listening today, if you work in the trades and you want to become a part of the union, or you want to get better working conditions, reach out. Reach out to the Rhode Island AFL-CIO. Reach out to the Painters Union. Reach out to Fuerza Laboral, and we'll come see you. We'll talk to you. We're here for you.
I think the important thing about when you're talking to the workers is that you do it consistently, right? So you go there every week, at least every other week, and we all have a lot to do. We all have really busy schedules, but this is important. This is grassroots organizing. Right? So we can only lift up the workers from that point on. But it's important that you continue the conversation, that you remember their names, that the next time you go there, you ask them, you know, maybe during the conversation, family came to the conversation. So ask them, you know, what's going on. Show them that you're really interested in their well-being. You're not just there to have a small chit chat and then bye-bye, and you know, I'm not going to see you again.
Right, and that goes back to the same point that I was trying to make earlier, which is that it's not a transactional relationship. It's about building trust with each other and realizing that, you know, we're authentically here because look, you know, I'm a worker. I've been working since I was 14 years old. I'm a painter by trade. I worked non-union. I worked as an apprentice in the union. I went through a pre-apprenticeship program, Building Futures. I understand what it is to suffer. I understand what it is to be robbed of your wages. I understand what it is to be told you'll be paid one thing, get another. I understand what it is to be humiliated by an employer and not be able to do anything about it because you have to provide for yourself and you have to provide for your family. And you know, that's what we're trying to make a change about.
It's you know, and you set up my next question perfectly. It's like it's about mutual respect. I mean we want these people eventually to come into our family. So that you set up my next question. A couple weeks ago we had your leaders in here, Michael Sabatoni and Scott Duhamel. They did a show.
Great guys.
And they actually talked about apprenticeships.
Yeah.
And so when you go out to these sites, do you ever see any apprentices on these jobs, or?
Yeah, there's mixed jobs. There's jobs where there's people, there's union and non-union contractors working, you know, on the same site, different subcontractors. So yeah, there's apprentices in place. But you know, one of the saddest things is to see a young man or woman who's working open shop, who should be in an apprenticeship, who has what it takes, who's doing the same thing, but doesn't have a career path at the end of the day because the open shop employer doesn't care about them. Or even worse, one of the things we see that's very, very sad are fraudulent apprenticeship programs. Apprenticeship programs that have no outlet, graduate nobody, which brings me to one of the last points I want to make. What we're trying to do is find out and establish the facts of the matter on job sites that have tax breaks, and then be able to show here, hopefully on Labor Vision, to the rest of the media, to elected officials at the state and city level, and in the city of Providence in this case, that there needs to be some language attached to tax breaks to change the way things are done, because we want and need tax incentives to make sure that the economy is moving and development's occurring. But the reality is that we have to make sure workers are taken care of and that there's not subsidization of criminal behavior on the part of developers, general contractors, construction managers, and subcontractors.
Okay. When they get the original tax breaks. When
the developer gets the tax break, it's their responsibility. It needs to be their responsibility to make sure that their sites are not hiring people that are engaging in criminal activity that are ripping off workers.
Raul, anything else to add to that?
Well, I just gotta say that I'm continuously looking forward to doing more work, to doing more grassroots organizing, and I just gotta say this relationship between Fuerza Laboral and the Apprentice Union is one of our more strongest relationships that we have, and we truly appreciate it, and we definitely looking forward to making some changes here for the working class here in Rhode Island.
All right. Well, you know what? This was a very informative segment, and I'm glad I had you guys on today, and I hope you guys come back and you can report back some more findings when you come back a second time. It was great having you guys on. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching Labor Vision, and that's it. Have a good night.
So very proud of this class. They were small, and in that small number, we're able to get intimately acquainted in a way previous classes have not. And I'm very, very excited to be sharing this space with them today. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over for our remarks for the evening. But very first, we have Bob Delaney, the Executive Director of the Institute for Labor Studies and Research, the organization that puts on Leadership for a Future. Bob?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to do a couple of things. First of all, congratulate you on achieving the goal of completing all of those evening programs, eating a lot of food, collaborating together, disagreeing, agreeing, looking at different points of view. And at the end of this whole process, being a graduate of the Leadership for a Future class of 2018, you join the roles of 17 years of leaders before you who have all in their own way begun to make significant change in the lives of people that you and I know.
How's everybody doing? Doing good? Great. Well, Andrew, thank you for having me here. George and Bob, thank you for being the great partners that you are. You know, this kind of work, leadership work, civil rights work, is not easy. People often ask me, Jim, why do you spend 20 to 30 hours a week volunteering your time? Most people think that the NAACP Provost Branch is my job, but it's my volunteer position. I'm actually the civil rights officer for Ripton. That's my 40-hour-a-week job. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I have a why that's compelling. And I think for you to go forward, to really be a part of the work, to really be effective, you have to have a why. You have to know why you're doing it. You can't do it for the glory. You can't do it to be in the newspaper. You got to really do it for the right reasons. And so for me, civil rights comes naturally. And it's not because I was with Rosa Parks trying to fight to get in the front of the bus. No, I was 4 years old when that happened. It's not because of the Little Rock Central High School integration in Arkansas. No, I was like 7 years old. It wasn't because of the Greenboro Ford trying to integrate the lunch counters. I wasn't there. I was 8 years old. It wasn't because of the March on Washington. I'm going to be true confessions. I wasn't there. I was 11 years old. But something happened to me when I was 16 years old. 16 years old, a junior in high school. And what happened was, one of the greatest Americans in the history of our country was assassinated on April 4th, and it was Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King's death was devastating to the country, to every community. There was civil unrest for the whole summer of 1968, and I remember going into my senior year applying to colleges, and all of a sudden being asked to go to a certain room in the high school with about 2 of the other students, and they were saying that you're being recruited. I said, being recruited for what? You know, I run track, but I haven't really done too well in that, so I don't know what I'm being recruited for. They said, well, there's some schools that want to talk to you. So I'm from Boston. I went to Boston Technical High School. It was an exam school, but it was like any other public school. And the next thing you know, I'm being recruited by the best schools in the country. And the reason why that was happening is because at that time in history, civil rights history, what the NAACP, the Urban League, the CORE, SNCC, the Southern Leadership Christian Organization, what those organizations were focusing in on was having young people of color, particularly black people, that were in high school, being able to go to the best colleges in the country. That was important. Education in our community has always been important, but at this time, they wanted to integrate the Harvards, the Yales, the Smiths, the Stanfords, the Dukes, the Annapolis, the West Point, who all had populations of color in single digits. So I was given an opportunity to go to 2 of those fancy schools and graduate in 1975 with my master's degree. And I knew that to be a son of immigrants from the Cape Verde Islands, whose parents never was in Birmingham, they never marched, they didn't know John Lewis, they didn't know Martin Luther King, they didn't know anybody. But yet I was given an opportunity because at that point in time, education was being given to people that were deserving, that up to that point never had an opportunity. So that's why I look back in terms of how fortunate I've been to continue the work. Now that happened, Martin Luther King was assassinated 50 years ago, okay? So to be steadfast over the long run, you have to have a strong why. And I know that, unlike another person that graduated from high school the same year I did, Dr. Ben Carson, I know why I got my opportunity. Okay, it was because of people that fought, bled, and died before me. And I stand on their shoulders. So you gotta have a why. You gotta know why you're doing this. Okay, and we need you. We're living in the most divisive time in America in my adult lifetime. Okay, I never knew divisiveness like this. The last time we were so divided as a country, I was a kid. Okay, so I I wring my hands at what we're going through right now, but you can't just stand still. I mean, the NAACP Providence branch is 105 years old. And we were started because black people could not use the Providence YMCA. The national NAACP is 109 years old. And they were started because of lynching.
All of those who are in class with us or with me, they know me pretty well, but a lot of the parents and family do not know me. My name is Jeremy Ogumba, and we talked about privilege and a lot of different things while we were in class. And I just first and foremost just want to acknowledge who I am as I come into this room. I am a male, so I am a part of the group of people who decide the laws that we have, a very privileged place as a male in this society. But I'm also a man with black skin who come from a people who have been oppressed for hundreds of years. And in that sense, I come in here without much privilege in that sense. I'm also a Christian. And as a Christian, I come in here with privilege. But I'm also somebody from the lower class. And in that sense, I come in here without much privilege. I'm a heterosexual married man. And in that way, I come in here with a lot of privilege. But I'm also from a single family household, raised by a single mother. And in that way, I come in here without much privilege. I'm a college graduate and a homeowner. And in that sense, I come in here with a lot of privilege. So I just want to acknowledge those intersectionalities that are inside of me. And for my classmates, it was a really great and beautiful experience to get to know you and all of your intersectionalities and all of the things that make you who you are. I met you all about 3 months ago. We cried in front of one another. We shared publicly some of the things we haven't shared publicly with many people before. We have laughed with one another. We've shared deep conversations with one another. We talked about justice, we talked about family, we talked about a bunch of random things. And those things are some of the sweetest moments that I will remember. We have also had some difficult times together. We have all gotten upset at some point throughout the last 12 weeks. We've all heard something that somebody said that rubbed us the wrong way. But I'm sure we were all bothered by something, but even in all of our differences, we all came together because we all had a passion and a cause that we cared about. Justice isn't a goal, it is a lifestyle. To be one who fights for justice requires self-sacrifice and self-giving. It leads to places and experiences that will stun you in both terrifying and beautiful ways. The fight for justice will cost us everything, but like the cross that Jesus died on, it will offer us everything. I've never known more freedom, joy, and intimacy with God and others than I've known in the midst of excruciating and magnificent work of dying to myself in the context of community, in relationship with humanity. It truly is what we were created to do.
Change up the order of the program just a little. We want to make sure that we're ending with this. So I'm going to call up George Reed to give his remarks now.
Thank you, Andrea. First of all, I want to give a real thanks to both Andrea and Desiree for putting this program together and making it work this year. Did they do a good job? Good. We also have a special guest with us tonight. David Driscoll Knight, who is the Regional Director for the National AFL-CIO for the Southeast and Northeast region, all of 95, from Maine to Florida. So he was in town and he said, I want to go to a Leadership for a Future graduation. I said, well, that's great because we're having it tonight. I want to start off by thanking you for taking this class, for sacrificing the nights that you spent and the weekend that you spent. And I also want to thank you very much for sharing your stories last Monday night. There were some pretty heartfelt stories and some pretty tough stories about people's lives. And it takes a lot of courage to do that in front of other people. And I just want to say that when I left and driving home, I said, you know, I'm feeling pretty good tonight. courage and compassion and concern for what we're doing. So again, it was inspiring and enlightening that you shared those stories, and it just made someone who's done this for a long time feel pretty good about where we're going with the future. So again, thank you for doing that. I'd be remiss if I didn't say a few things about the labor movement, because that's what I've done with my life since since the 60s. I'm getting a little old here, giveaway, but since 1976, when I started a union, an independent union here in Rhode Island, and just in very simple terms, we need a strong labor movement, because we cannot have a just society or a democracy unless we have a free trade union movement. And we're under serious attack right now. There's a Supreme Court decision that's coming out in the next month, which I think will be very detrimental to labor. But in these times, we have to merge the thinking of the labor movement and the faith community and the community groups to understand that if we don't have a labor movement, the income equality that we have now will grow exponentially. The injustices that we have now will grow exponentially. Because there are people in our society that do not want the labor movement to exist, because they know that it is the only countervailing power to themselves where they can have unfettered control over what happens to all of our lives.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Labor Vision. We appreciate your input and encourage your comments. Labor Vision can be seen on this channel 3 times each week: Tuesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 8 p.m., and Saturday at 5 p.m.